So tomorrow's Lag BaOmer, and what happens on Lag BaOmer is it's actually quite phenomenal to see how you go across the Jewish world and you discover that everyone, like Lag BaOmer is this one of the most celebrated holidays on the Jewish calendar. Quite fascinating how that works out to be. But Lag BaOmer, the original Lag BaOmer, you have this image of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai sitting down, and he has his students around him. You picture the scene. The Zohar calls him Butzina Kadisha. Butzina Kadisha is the holy light, the holy torch. So you imagine Rashbi in this very holy space. He's on fire, literally on fire. And as he does so, he reveals the biggest secrets ever to his students, the Chevraya Kadisha, the Idra, who are sitting around him. And he's communicating to them, and he's channeling off all the most amazing secrets of Torah, which becomes the whole basis of Panemius Torah, the inner fire of Torah, and the Zohar. And Rabbi Shimon he lights up the entire world in that moment. I always look back to that experience, this powerful moment, and I'm thinking to myself, imagine if we take the lingo of today's day and age, what that looks like. Like, what does it mean to be holy? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a holy man. So what do you associate holiness, right? I think today, like a holy person, you could be a scholar and you could be a learned individual, but you're not holy yet. What makes you holy is a lot more than that. So let's say maybe a person who does chesed. So he might not be a scholar. He just loves being good to people, just kindness to people all over, kindness. And that's a big one. What happens if you have a conglomerate of both and you have a person who's just a kind, wise, happy individual? Can you see how all those things together are leading us to a direction of what we're going to term holiness? I think that holiness is more like being in a state of flow, just connected to yourself. So we all have these blockages inside our system, preventing us from being ourselves. And when you're holy, it's like everything just flows. It just goes. It's just connected. Top, bottom, beginning, you're just feeling absolutely there, absolutely present. And so it expresses itself in your scholarliness, your wisdom, your ability to teach and to give and to do kindness and to do mitzvahs and everything of that sort. And what I want to do today in honor of Rashbi, in honor of Lag BaOmer, is take a look at this idea in Judaism of what it means to be holy, to be a Kadosh. We actually, it's interesting, this year's the anniversary of last year, which wasn't an easy Lag BaOmer, probably the harshest for many years. But there's the 45 Kadoshim. What's a Kadosh? Generally, a Kadosh is someone who dies al Kiddush Hashem. So, in Sfarim, it's brought down when a person is when he's at that last moment, he doesn't feel any pain. Whatever that means. Don't try it out. But dying al Kiddush Hashem means dying in a way of being absolutely and utterly connected. When a person dies for being Jewish, whatever chas v'shalom, whatever happens there. But I want to talk about not dying al Kiddush Hashem, but rather living al Kiddush Hashem. And what does it mean to live a holy life? How do you get to live a holy life? So I think that, we feel sometimes soiled, like a little bit of dirt. Where does dirt come from in general? Inside you, I'm talking about. Like metaphysical, spiritual dirt. It's got to do with ego. It's got to do with your sense of self, which blocks you all the time and prevents you from being you. That's what blocks the state of flow. Now, when we talk about being holy, last week we spoke about the beginning of the verse in Yeshayahu, which we say every day. Let's talk about the second half of the pasuk. So it says, Ve'ato Kadosh, Yoshev Tiras Yisrael. So we spoke about last week how Hashem is holy and removed. And what makes him Yoshev, he's Kadosh, he's removed. What makes him Yoshev, come down, is Tehillos Yisrael, is the praises of Israel. And what was the praises of Israel? The word Tehilot also means, Hallel means to light up, to ignite, and to fire up and to get excited. So when a Jew here in this world gets excited over his relationship with Hashem, that in turn creates a relationship with God. So it draws Hashem into this world. Hashem is removed and exalted, and he's Kadosh. And what happens is he enters the domain of this world when you get excited about him. Now that pasuk continues, and it says, that one calls to the other. We're talking about the angels. This is in Yeshayahu, chapter 6. Yeshayahu Hanavi saw the Merkava. The Merkava is the chariot of Hashem. He saw the celestial animals, the angels, the Chayot HaKodesh, who carry the throne of Hashem. And when he sees them, he says, wow, Hashem, you're removed, you're exalted, Kadosh. What makes you come down is Tehillas Yisrael, Yoshev Tehillas Yisrael. And the angels are the Kara Zeh El Zeh. One calls to the other one, the Omar, and he says, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Hashem Tzevois Melech Haaretz Kavodah. Holy, holy, holy is Hashem. And we, in turn, take that and we say it every day in davening multiple times. We say it in Avodat Tziyun. We say it in the morning in the davening when we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We say it when we answer Kedusha, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. What we're doing is emulating the angels. So we're saying, hey, angels, when they want to discover the relationship with the divine, they say Hashem is holy, holy, holy. Let us join in unison with the angels, right? So when we answer the tefillah, so the chazan says, he says, hey guys, okay, let's praise Hashem. So we all say together, let's make you holy and exalt you, admire you. Like the pleasantness of the angels and the secret of the angels who say 3 times, I'm a shalshim l'chakidusha. We say the Kedusha 3 times. Meshalashim is shalosh. Kakasav al yad neviyecha, as it says in the Navi, that v'kara zel zeh ve'amar, and everyone says together, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. So we emulate these angels. What does it mean? This holy, holy, holy 3 times. And perhaps if we could understand why it's 3 times and we break it down, then we can experience how we can get into that absolute oneness and state of flow. It has to do with 3 parts. To become Kadosh involves Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Part 1, 2, and 3. And then you get connected. So I was thinking about it. I don't know, my own feeling about the connection. But in the Pirkei Avos, which we're doing now, in the chapter of Pirkei Avos, chapter 3, Rabbi Akiva says as follows. Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem. Man is dear to Hashem. He's dear. He's special. Why? Because he's created in the image of God. And it's special. Then he goes on, step 2. Not only are you an Adam, not only are you a special human being, it's special to be a human. Part 2, Chavivin Yisrael, shenikru bonim lamokim. How special you are because you are Hashem's child. And he brings a pasuk for each one. Then he takes it a step further and he says, you're not only a child, but Chavivin Yisrael shenitan lohem kli chemda. You're a child and you were given a special gift. What's the gift? Ki lekach toiv nosati lochem terosi al ta'azoivu. We received a Torah from Hashem. So there's 3 qualities that we have to our personalities. One is that we are Adam, humans. Beyond that, we have an extra special quality. That we are Yisrael, we're Jews, meaning we're children of Hashem, Hashem's kids. And 3, we have an extra special quality that we even have the Torah. Note, by the way, what that means is that it's special to be an Adam, even if you're not a Yisrael. It's special to be a Yisrael, this is the big one, even if you don't keep the Torah. Except it's super special if you do keep the Torah. So we're not denying the best quality. But each one of these is something which we want to go through, I think, in our lives. And step by step, you want to be an Adam, you want to be a Yisrael, and then you want to go even a step further and be a Yisrael who keeps Torah. I just draw back to, I went once to the Kaisel. So I arrived over there with my wife many years ago. And, it's always an interesting place, the Kaisel. Different types of Jews and different things going on there. So there's this huge circle in the top of the plaza of, must have been about 150 boys and girls locked into a giant circle. And they must have been from some, school. They looked like they were older teens. And they were singing a song. And I thought it was so beautiful. And then I came close and I heard the words of the song. It was a familiar tune. They sang, "Oh, say shalom bim romav, hu ya say shalom aleh." I thought it was nice. Make peace. Then they ended the song. Ve'al kol ha'adam ve'imru amen. They said, "He who makes peace over all," they changed the word. Instead of saying over all Israel, they said over all mankind. They must have been Jewish. Because only Jews get that. Oh, it's like this issue about, wow, but peace over Israel. Feeling guilty over that. I think that these three stages of being Adam, Israel, and Israel who has Torah correspond to how we bring Hashem into our lives and become holy. And it's three stages. The angels express these three stages. And they say, the Koral Zel Zev Amar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. They say Hashem is Kadosh, 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 3 steps. And we emulate the angels. We say, Nakdisha Kenoyam Siach Soid Sarfe Kodesh. I'm going to emulate the angels in the same way. And I'm going to say the same thing. And let's take 3 steps in our lives to see how we could be mini Rashbis. You can't be Rashbi. But you could strive. You could work towards it. Towards that absolute state of flow, just feeling good and connected. So let's analyze and describe how the Balatanya sees these 3 Kadosh. And we'll describe to you in brief what he says about the 3 Kadoshes. And then we'll see if we could bring those and impart those and feel those somewhat, at least, in our lives. Step 1, Kadosh. Step 2 is also Kadosh. And so step 3. But each one there's Kadosh 1, which is, you can't get to step 2 without getting step 1. So step 2 is Kadosh, Kadosh. Step 3 is Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. What is step 1, the first step? First step is this. In order to be a Jew, in order to experience any kind of anything in life, you have to believe. Not just believe, you have to internalize, you have to feel that there's something otherworldly. That what you see is not what you get. That there's just so much more going on and you don't sense that so much more. Now, we Jews do that all the time. Close our eyes every day, every morning, every evening, and even more than that. And we say, Shema Yisrael. Listen here, Jew. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That Hashem Echad is not some metaphysical, there's one God. It's Hashem is Echad. There's nothing else besides the oneness of Hashem. That's the key to Judaism. That means that this world that you see, that looks like multiple layers, is not. And whenever I say this, I always get back the Matrix. Yep, the Matrix. Except that the Matrix was written by people who couldn't see the other dimension, so they made the other dimension into some kind of,
Sci-fi.
Another physical thing. So, yeah, there is a whole other dimension of living. And that dimension of living happens all the time, every single step of the way. And what that means is that it takes you and puts you into a modality of being upwards, of looking up. So we get trained typically in life to look lateral, right? Be normal, be a good person, make money, make mommy and tati proud, and bring nachas, right? That's what you tell every kid. That's like the whole, and it's like, and succeed in life, be a success story. Like open up a business and have a family and do all these wonderful, wonderful things in life. That's all lateral. And then we discover that real life is, oh, I'm just bored. I'm depressed. I'm addicted. All these crazy little things that creep up in real life. And they're like, but why? Why can't you just be normal and just like, why are you depressed? What's the reason for your being depressed? And why must you be addicted to that stuff? And you're like, I don't know. The reason is because man was not designed to be lateral. Man designed to look up and to see something big. Man is designed to close his eyes on everything that he sees and say, no. What you see is not what you get. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There is something much greater and much deeper than that. So imagine if we would train ourselves and our children to be looking always for something higher, for something deeper. Now I want to describe to you the depth of how we Jews do this every day. So I keep hearing, right, from all walks of life, people are like, I can't stand davening. Like, so boring. Sit there and just say a lot of words. And like, what's the point? I actually had an amazing experience on Sunday. My 5-year-old, I think he's 5, had a siddur party. And, you know, I've been to many siddur parties of my kids over the years. And this was the first siddur party, like a real one. I mean, it was incredible. So, you know, people are like getting up with the times, and usually a siddur party is make a celebration, sing songs, and then give the siddur. This siddur party was, the Rebbe made a video. Amazing. Because he took, there's 2 grades, there's 2 classes, there's 45 kids. He gave every single one of these 45 5-year-olds a part in a video. So each one, I don't know how they do that, memorized a few lines, and then they must have taken a long time to film it. But it was a great story. So they filmed the story. The story was that the Rebbe was preparing, the principal, the Rebbe was preparing for the siddur party, and all the siddurim get stolen. And no one can find the siddurim. And so a few guys get detectives, all the kids are acting this out, and they go find, it was adorable, and they go looking for the siddurim. And then they see one of the other kids is stealing the siddurim. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, what? You're making a video, you're making one of the kids steal the siddurim and whatever. That part got me. And then these detectives, right? The 3 detectives get out. They have like mustaches like that, you know, and they're getting out of the thing. Little kids, they come in, they're attacking this guy. Like he's pulling a box down the sidewalk of all the siddurim. They say, what are you doing? So he looks at them and he says, they say, we need this for the siddur party. He says, I don't want a siddur party. She's like, why? So because the siddur is just a book. And all it is a bunch of words. And I want to talk to Hashem. And I was like, wow. Rabbi Meisner, she was spectacular. I was like, wow. And then the whole play, right? The whole thing of how they explain it and whatever, it was excellent. And it ended off with this, at the end of it, there was like this guy comes in, this big looking guy, whatever, like some kind of like a green face, whatever he was, I don't know. And then he's like, and he's excited about it. And then the video ends, and then he walked in real life onto the actual stage with the kids. It was spectacular. But the story was what got me. Like, he got these kids and he put the question right in front of 5-year-olds. He's like, why do you need to say a bunch of meaningless words? And that's why the guy stole all the siddurim. And it was great. And they explained basically, what is it? What is it about? So yeah, what is the siddur about? Well, the words of the sages have a very strong power. When you and I daven, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago about, davening with a beautiful poem. It's amazing. It's great. But it's very limited. Because you and I are limited. So it's only what you know. But imagine someone goes up there and he's able to connect and be on top there in the yonder world. and then come back down and bring these words which can elevate you and pick you up to that step. That's what the words of davening are doing. The words of davening essentially are picking us up and putting us on the same level, on the divine level. So you need someone who belongs to both worlds. That's why the words are designed that way. You can only say words as strong as who you are, right? Your words contain in them the power of you. So how strong are your words? Depends who you are. How holy, so to speak, are you? The words of davening are potent because they're written by people who lived in both worlds. So here's what they got us to do. The words of davening are designed for one purpose. And there's this explanation of the Baal HaTanya I thought was so stunning. It's a metaphor. And listen to this metaphor. He says, you know how, Lag BaOmer, perfect, right? You need to make a fire. Me and fires, we don't get along. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know why I can't figure out how to make a fire. Ever since that one time I took my kids on, we went on a camping trip and we camped out and we were making dinner was a barbecue. So it was me and two boys. And the reason was I couldn't get the fire. I didn't know literally how to get a fire. They just went, they'll say, we'll starve, it's fine. How do you make a fire? You find a spark, right? What you want to get is you create a fire. And then at the end, the fire disappears. So this big fire disappears. What happens when the fire disappears and you're making a bonfire and the fire disappears? If you look carefully, you'll find a tiny little spark still buried deep down under those coals. A little glow. And if you can see that glow, what do you do to make a fire? You know what you do? Blow. And you gotta know how to blow. So you take a thing and you go, and you blow, and you blow, and you blow. And when you blow, and you give them a lot of oxygen, suddenly, this huge fire comes out. Inside every Jew is a fire. But because we live life the way we do, that fire is very concealed, very hidden, buried deep down under a lot of dirt. But there's a fire there. There is a fire. What do you have to do? You have to blow on the fire. Want to tell me how you blow on the fire? Not a physical. What does it mean to blow on the fire? Well, to blow on the fire means to look and identify the core of emunah that we have. We have a fiery emunah deep down inside of us. Like, yes, I do feel God in my life. You know, this young lady called me yesterday. So she learned in Beis Yaakov, she did the whole system and everything. And, you know, and now she doesn't believe in a thing. She lives with a bunch of, non-Jewish friends in a non-kosher home and doesn't keep anything, except that she lives in the heart of one of the frommest communities, and she got like in the center of it. So why'd you find out? I don't know, that's where the apartment was, So she calls me up, and what she wants to know is, she's very happy. She has a good relationship with her family. She says everything's fine, amazing. She doesn't believe a thing. She calls me up and she wants to know some questions, right? So she starts asking questions about Judaism, and she wants to understand. And I'm listening to her, and I said, wow, why? You don't believe in Judaism, so why are you calling me? You know what she says? I want to believe. And I said, wow, that's pretty impressive. You see, she lost everything. She doesn't keep nothing except for one thing she has. There's a fire inside there. And what you want to do is not, oh, loser that you are, you gave up on everything. No, wow. Like, let's work with that fire. Let's blow and blow and blow on that fire until the fire becomes a huge, huge torch, a beautiful Lag BaOmer bonfire. That's what we want to get to. But let's focus for a moment on ourselves. Because you want to know what davening is? The metaphor is it's oxygen. It blows on the fire. And that's not just a mantra. Let me explain to you why it does so. If davening is just to ask Hashem for what you need, then you may be right. You're blowing on your emunah? No, you're asking Hashem for what you need. Why is that blowing on your emunah? Let's understand what is emunah, and then we'll see how davening is oxygen to that emunah. What does emunah mean? What's the foundation of emunah? Ani mamin. Right? That quintessential Jew in the gas chamber, and he's then singing Ani mamin emunah shleima b'bias HaMashiach. What does that say? Emunah says, whatever you're doing to me now is not true. I connect to something higher. The word believe kills it. The word believe is like destroying the oxygen. It doesn't mean I believe. I believe it's just I'm a dogmatic, I connect. I sense the truth. Not I believe, I just say it, even though there's every proof against it. In my bones, I sense Hashem. I sense that even though I'm in the middle of a gas chamber, God forbid, there is a bias HaMashiach, something greater. Ani mamin. That emunah means I sense that Hashem is greater than all this. I sense that, no, there is God behind this. And it's not what you see. That's what a Jew shuts his eyes and he says, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That's the foundation of emunah. Davening is about expressing that in our lives. How does davening do it? So the foundation of davening is, we keep on saying this, and I don't think most people connect to this part of davening. But this is the whole idea of davening, right? Let's get through some words. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. What does that mean? Baruch. Very good. She'amar v'haya olam. He said and the world came into being. How does that make you feel? Blessed is Hashem, who said, and the world came into being.
It's just words.
Right, but what does it mean? What are the words? Let's just give me a feeling. You're feeling from the words. Yeah. What are you feeling?
Amazement.
Amazement by?
The creation of the world.
By the creation of the world, right?
Yeah, how we're even here.
So it's like enhancing the thank you Hashem movement. It's beautiful. Blessed is Hashem who said, and the world came into being. It's like saying, blessed is Hashem who created the world. Right? Does that take you out of your space, out of your comfort zone, and put you in some holy space? It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's very nice. Hashem created the world, but okay. Great. Try this. Baruch, right? Draw down. The opposite. She'amar v'haya olam. He just said a couple of words, and with that, the whole thing that you know came into being. What it's saying is that to Hashem, creation of the world is nothing. It's like, yeah, he didn't make this world, like create it. It's true that the creator is Hashem. It's just not so accurate that Hashem is the creator. Hashem is unlimited. Yeah, he made a world, that's true. But olam means he'elem, concealment. Amar, he said a few words. Ve'haya olam. It's like, yeah, the world came into being. What we want to do here is get a relationship with Hashem above this creation. Creation is actually a confinement of Hashem. Hashem is unlimited. So we've been through this concept in the past. It's like if you were a little bacteria living in the garbage, and then you see the human being coming over to take out the garbage, what would you say? Oh my gosh, there comes the big, huge, giant sanitary worker. And he uproots my life. He's in charge of everything in my whole life. As soon as he decides to move me, the whole thing gets overturned. And then the human being, that's you. When you take out the garbage, you're like, I don't know, I just took out the garbage. Like I didn't notice the bacteria. It's a realization of how small it is. Existence is small. It's, what am I going to be my whole life, a fish in a fish tank? Like, get me out of this world. When I was a kid, there was a song which, I don't know why, but I heard it somewhere, stuck in my mind. Stop the world, I want to get off. Ever had that feeling? I just want, there's something more. Give me more. Can you imagine King David as he recites Tehillim and he says the words, Mili vashomayim be'im cholei chafatzti va'aretz. What do I want in heaven? I don't want anything on earth. All I want is you. Ich will mer nitas dich allein. Do you think he's saying, Mili vashomayim be'im cholei chafatzti, I don't want anything? Or is he like this addict, or in a positive sense, a passionate human being who's saying, Mili vashomayim, I don't want anything? Or how about Somo l'chonafshi? You see the tug, the pull? I'm thirsting for you. I'm yearning for God. Where does that stem from? That stems from a person living in this world and saying, it's not doing it for me. There are no pleasures in the world that satisfy me to my core. And by the way, that's what every one of us is essentially saying. When a kid tells you, oh, you're just doing it culturally, it's not real, it's not emes. I don't feel, you just, it's not. When this girl says, I'm dropping Shabbos, I'm dropping kosher, I'm dropping everything, but I still believe in God. What's she saying? I want you to convince me. She's saying, give me God in all this. Let me feel holy. Let me feel removed. Let me feel something over here. The whole davening is designed for this point. It's built around one point. Take a look, pay attention to the words of davening, and you'll see what they say is this. I'll give you another example. Yehalalu es Shem Hashem ki hu tziva v'nivra'u. Praise the name of Hashem, right? Translate these words. You say this every morning. Ki hu tziva v'nivra'u. What does that mean? Right. What does that sound like? What? It sounds, we mistake it to say, oh, he commanded and they were created. But it doesn't say hu tziva u'bra'am. It's like hu tziva v'nivra'u. V'nivra'u is like passive, and they were created, not ubra'am. They were just created.
Basically, the tefillah has to be dissected.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're saying,
You bet.
it has meaning.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why I do, in spite of this.
Well, you still say the words. They're good.
I say the words, but it really, I
But get to learn the words. Look, here's another one. I'll show you the whole davening says this. Atau Hashem levadecha. What does that mean?
You are Hashem alone.
You're alone. We don't get you. Umeroimam al kol bracha usehila. What does that mean?
You're exalted over all heavy blessings.
You're above every blessing and praise. Nobody can praise you. You are meromam, not you are. I'm praising you. You are meroimam al kol bracha usehila. You're way above that. That's why I said when you get what's going on, you're like, Oz Yashem, Moshe Yisrael, not them, me. Then we're going to sing. You sing Tashem, you're like, wow, wow, wow. And you start getting excited. Nothing over here is what you see. See, davening is fanning the flames of emunah, because a Jew in his core senses that Hashem is just unlimited. He senses this. He gets it. This is not what you see. And then what happens? And then you build this thirst for God. If you don't do that, if you just live, no, just be normal. Just be normal in life. If you just be normal in life, it's so depressing. And at some point you say, I'm depressed. I become an addict. And the soul of an addict is just someone looking for God. I'm yearning for God. I told to my son-in-law, he was telling me that he read up in Yeshivas Chachmei Lublin. That's Rabbi Meir Shapiro, founder of the Daf Yomi, who was a Ger Chassid. In his yeshiva, every day at Mincha time, they would recite. This was guys who, if you had a few hundred daf you had to know off by heart of Gemara to enter the yeshiva before you came in. So every day they would recite Kapitel Chapter 119 in Tehillim. That's the longest one. What's chapter 119 about? It's got 22 letters of Aleph Beis with 8 verses on each, describing how incredible it is to learn Torah. And it's like, wow, the love of Torah, the incredible nature. Wow, I get to connect to Hashem. And every day they would recite this in order to just feel, right? Every one of those, there's 8 times 22 verses there. And every one of those verses is all about just feeling the elevation of Torah. Don't just learn it, feel what you're doing. Our davening is designed to spark a curiosity and a connection to something higher, to realize that this is not what you get, and that's the critical part. Because you see, in life, things happen to us all the time that we're difficult stuff happens, and it's tough and it's challenging, etc. When you have a realization that there's a God, you know what you see? You see something, oh, it's true that this is difficult, but I have a relationship with Hashem. So I know there's something much bigger going on over here. And so even when I lose out, there's still a benefit. There's still something special going on. So this guy told me a story the other day. You know, some people play with money. So like you're going to buy a house and like you look at the house, the price tag is $1.2 million. Like, wow, how am I doing $1.2 million? What's that? This guy, he plays with a lot bigger numbers. So the story, he said, happened about 25 years ago. And what happened was, it's like he had an accountant. Unfortunately, a religious guy, officially, you know, a God-fearing individual. And he was my accountant, and for tax purposes, I had to wire him some money to pay taxes. And whatever, long story, but the bottom line is there was a whole thing with taxes, so I had to wire him $27 million. Wow, that's a wire. Whew. So I wired him $27 million. And then I needed the next day to take the wire and to move it to another account to put this and that. And the guy didn't do it. I'm a little surprised, like, what's going on? And then a day later, he didn't do it. And something went, it's like, you know, called the guy, managed to get a meeting with him. So he came to my house. He came for a meeting. And as he's discussing in the meeting, what I suddenly realized is that I was just defrauded. The guy, my accountant, basically took $27 million. And in one wire, I lost $27 million. I was like, wow, that's amazing. He says, I was so mad at this guy. I was so angry at him. He's like, I pushed him against the wall. I never do this. I pushed him against the wall, holding him up. And then I realized that I'm stuck because for tax reasons, there was no one to talk to. I couldn't do anything because there's a whole tax thing going on. And I couldn't go to any authorities about it. And at the same time, this guy had me wrapped around his little finger. He says, like, my wife walked in the middle of the thing. She's like, what's going on over here? And I was about to kill the guy. And he left. And I lost $27 million in one wire. Imagine. And this is, you know, many years ago. It's like, so now I'm thinking to myself like this, he says, like, my whole life, I have a principle. I see God everywhere. Like, I started from nothing. When I made my money at the beginning, it was the most amazing, unbelievable thing to make that money. And I realized right away that it's not me doing this. I realized right away that there's an Eibishter, there's a God behind the scenes. And I trained myself. So I don't say Baruch Hashem, because I trained myself to say it in English. I never say Baruch Hashem, I say thank God. And this way, anybody and everybody out there, no matter who they are, you know, some guy from middle America, anywhere, when they ask me, how are you? Thank God. When a deal goes through, it's a thank God. And in every moment of the way, I have this realization that there's Hashem behind the scenes. And the whole time, And up until that point, life was just unbelievable. Everything I touched turned into gold, absolute gold. Until that one moment where in one wire, I effectively lost everything I had ever made. One wire. And I was like, kicking myself, like, what? And then it dawned on me, this realization that if I say, telling me the stories, if I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and I say that there's a God, then you're thanking God only when it's good. If you have that sense of emunah and you realize there's a God behind, then lose is the same thing. And I worked on myself, and I got to a space where Hashem was with me, and I just like, okay, God gives and God takes, and there's a God behind the scenes. You see the emunah built into a person? That's powerful in real time. I wasn't there in real time. I would love to have been. The way he's telling the story, it sounded great. I mean, it's like a real moment of not easy at all, but I sense Hashem in my life. See, that's what we Jews do all the time. Kadosh number one, want to be holy, want to be separate, want to be elevated and removed. It's a realization that there's a God and there's something higher going on in life. That's step one, by the way, of Adam. You know what Adam means? Adam is a human being. Adam is the numerical value of 45. What differentiates Adam from Behema and man from an animal? Animal walks on four. He looks at the ground. That's what he sees. The natural pose is to see the ground. What does an Adam see? He doesn't go like that. He sees where he's going, but he sees the heavens. He sees big. Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem. What's beautiful about man is that he is created in the image of God. He senses God in his life. He senses, I make money, I lose money, I do, I don't. Everything is from Hashem. And he senses God in his life. That's the number one greatest quality. That's Kadosh number one. You move over to Kadosh number two. Kadosh number two, you can only say if you said Kadosh number one. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. What's Kadosh, Kadosh? It's this God who says that, who tells us that the world, nothing, the world is nothing to me. I'm unlimited, I'm God. Hashem says, I want you. You are my child. I get it. You live in this world, which is a nothing to me, but I want you. And the second you realize that Hashem has a relationship and wants me and has that connection to me, what happens? You see how you suddenly get, wow, so one second, let me get this straight. These are the foundations of Emunah. Hashem, to him, creation of the world is just an afterthought. Wow, I'm yearning to get out of this world. And then Hashem says, yeah, but I care about you. I want you. And that's why in davening, you say this also. Hashem is exalted above everything. And then what do you say? You, Hashem, you chose Avram. You know who Avram is? You. He chose you. And you found his heart to be emunah before you. Part two is the realization that to be a Jew is absolutely special. And so what you want to do is a realization all the time. Part one is like, I can't take this world. I want God. And every step of the way, I just want God. I want a relationship with Hashem. And so wherever I look, Hashem, I know it's you. I'm connected to you. And Hashem, I see you and I feel you every step of the way in everything that goes on. This guy, so he's like, I lost $27 million, right? So now what? So he says, as soon as I felt like it's absolute relief, Hashem gave it, whatever you want, God. The second I gave it over to Hashem, you see, that's like the realization of, it's fine. This whole world is nothing anyway. That's the realization a Jew has. Okay, whatever. So then literally the next week, I get this call. So the Archdiocese has a facility that they needed help with. They asked me if I could help with the facility. Long story, but I helped them with the facility. they wanted to sell it. They asked me to just get it ready for sale. Okay, so he says, so out of the blue. Now, you understand, I fell, I'm worth nothing. I lost everything. But nobody knows that. So they think of me as this big guy. So yeah, I take this facility and I was working in it, renting it just to sale. You know, Yiddish kop, I realized very quickly that this thing can make a lot of money. And after 8 months, basically, come along, I heard that this was a huge gold mine. So they're ready for sale. So I said, can I buy it? I said, sure. How much you want it for? $2 million. Now, they don't sell ever. Went up to, the highest echelons to be able to sell it, and they sold it. After they sold it, I took this property. He says, I succeeded in turning it into, it made, in the first year, $17 million. So I'm like, okay, that was pretty good. And then, like, right away, another deal comes through. And this guy wanted to sell a deal. So 3 years before I wanted to buy it. So they wanted to sell it for $27 million. And they didn't want to sell. So I offered them $30 million and they refused to sell. No sale going on. So a couple of years later, they come back to me. Someone bought 100 properties and whatever, and they wanted to make a sale, get rid of a few properties. So they need to get rid of them. And they asked me, this new CEO asked me, how much do you want to buy it for? So I threw him a number. I said, okay, whatever. I threw him a number, 20 million. 17 million, sorry. So he says, okay, done. 17 million, I got it, flipped it and sold it for 27. By the end of 1 year, how much money I made back? $27 million. He says it was like a revelation of Hashem in this world. It was like I lost it in the most ridiculous way ever. By the way, never got back. And a year later, Hashem just put it back like it was unbelievable. And then the IRS came back and they made a write-off of the first one. So essentially, I gained all that back because of an IRS write-off. And from there, it was only up. See, there's a revelation of God, which we see. You experience God every day, all the time. Part one is seeing that what you see is not what you get. Don't ever get worried about it. There's a God. That's what davening's about. Being able to see things that are higher. Part two is to sense how Hashem is in your life every step of the way. And that's what it means. Chavivin Yisrael shenikru bonim lamokim. We are Hashem's children. Part one is Hashem is unreal. He's unbelievable. And that's Adam. I see that this thing is nothing. But Hashem cares for me and Hashem wants me. And you have both of those together. That's Kadosh. Kadosh. Kadosh number one is what you see as nothing. Don't get fazed by anything. It doesn't make a difference. The good, the bad, it's all good. Part two is, and Hashem cares about me. I'm his child every step of the way, even though the whole world is nothing in his eyes, but he cares for me. And then comes the final Kadosh. Final Kadosh is what makes you the holiest of all. Is that what does God want? He has a special mission for you. So he created this world, the world's vanity and nothing, and Hashem in this world wants you to do and to change the world. And he gave you a Torah and he gave you mitzvahs and he wants you to change the world. The way you change the world is by realizing that the world's just a game. Hashem is the only reality. Have fun, enjoy. That's Kadosh number one. Adam, you look up. Kadosh number two, Hashem is with me all the time. You're a Yisrael, you're Hashem's child. Kadosh number three is Hashem gave you a Torah. And what does that mean? He gave you mission in life. And every time you're holding a magic wand, think of yourself with a magic wand. Go touch things. Simple. Give tzedakah. What happens when you give tzedakah? There's this whole magical transformation that takes place. So the world is detached from God. But when you do the mitzvah, the world becomes connected. And so every day we say, the malachim, the angels say, Hashem is Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. And we live that. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. We live our life to say life is not just to live and to exist and to be. It's first of all, knock out existence. It's nothing. When you daven, realize how special you are because you're Hashem's child. And therefore, all the time, Hashem is with you, and reiterate that point as you have the challenges in life. It's nothing, and Hashem is with me. It's nothing, and Hashem is with me. Those are the two Kadosh. And then go act and do stuff in Hashem's world. And that's how you make the world the third Kadosh. It's not easy to live by this. That's why every day we say it, and we multiply it, we multiple again and again and again. And we say with the Malachim, the angels say it's a weekend also. And we say, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Hashem is holy. What does it mean Hashem is holy? It means He created us. And through our avodah, through our realization in davening of how unlimited Hashem is, and through our realization of what the power vested in us is, and then we go act on it. Because we have a kli chemda, we have a special gift that we're given, the Torah. Through our acting on it, we change this world. We make it into a holy world. And then we live in a state of flow, a state of connectedness. And that's a little, Lag B'Omer is coming, and Lag B'Omer is just, you can live a life of being connected. So when you daven every day and you realize who you are and you work on it, and then you daven through the day in real time as things happen, and then you go act from that space, then the world around you becomes holy too. Then the whole thing is one big fire of Rashbi.
Beautiful. Beautiful.